Have you ever pondered on the question of how do I get my team to sell more retail or how do I have the perfect hires? Well, if you've ever had that question, I know I have as a salon owner. Today is going to be the perfect episode for you because we're going to be diving into how to sell the sizzle and not the steak. Looking at ways to sell transformation, not just education.
Yes, and I think that that's the key right there, Jen, is ways to sell that transformation and not just be the educator or sell the education. And so I think when we unlock the art of persuasive selling as salon owners, it really can reframe our sales approach when we really start to focus on that transformation and the emotional benefits rather than just features and education. And so this can really equip us to sell authentically and become way more profitable and really create those win-wins, because we know when we're serving people to their highest good, uh, we get paid, they get paid, everybody wins in that situation.
Yeah, awesome. And so let's talk about let's look at the concept of selling transformation, not just education. So if you ever think about the idea of, maybe you're in a coaching session with a team member and you're like, oh man, if you would increase your average ticket by $3, you could have this much more money. Or if you would sell this many more products, like your retail bonus would be, bigger. And the team members like, oh yeah, 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 that sounds good. That sounds good. They leave the growth session or the conversation and like nothing ever changes. And so like that's really just educating someone. Today we're going to dive into like how can we truly create that arena of transformation where we are able to like not just say, hey, this would increase your sales, but like how could this change your life? And that's what transformation is all about at the end of the day, is helping someone see how to live a more beautiful life that suits them.
Yeah, I love that you said that about, just educating them on how to, if they sold more retail, they would get this much of a bonus, because like that would be like if you were a realtor and you thought your job was to just sell a house. You
Mhm.
didn't realize that you were actually selling a place for people to go make memories, and for them to go, set the stage to live their best life. Like it's so much more than just the facts on the fact sheet of a house. It's really about what it is that people get on the other side. And so, even just looking at, the formulation. So what would be that formulation for when we're talking about persuasive selling? And selling, yes, of course we're doing this when we're selling retail and we're selling services, but we're also doing this as leaders when we're selling, a new version of somebody that
Mhm.
we see possible for them. And when we uncover some of their roadblocks and can help them get to the other side, we're selling that all the time too. And so let's talk about logic plus emotion equals feature plus benefit. And so when you look at it, there's usually two sides to your brain. There's the logical side of your brain and there's the emotional side of your brain. And so, anytime you feel overly emotional, if you can, hop into that logical side, it kind of helps lower those emotions. But the same thing happens, like logic actually equals lethargic when it comes to
Mhm.
sales. And same thing, like if we, are spending too much time in a growth session keeping somebody in their logical mind, then they become lethargic. That's why I think so many people inside of our industry say that they hate numbers. And I don't think that people actually hate numbers. I believe numbers are just telling a story about, what it is, the experience that
Mhm.
we're creating for somebody else. So we need those numbers to have that data, to have that, because data equals dollars, but we need that to have the logical side. But when we're thinking about selling, we need to get it connected to that emotional side or that benefit side. So if we looked at this, like if it were a product or a service that we were going to sell, it would be like the feature would be like a keratin smoothing treatment, and the benefit would be that they could feel confident and polished with like sleek, low maintenance hair. And
Mhm.
so when you get stuck too much in that feature land, when you're selling, you're like, oh, you need this keratin smoothing treatment, and you get into the science behind it. That just like gets somebody so lethargic. They're like, I don't want to, I don't. you're speaking a foreign language to me, you know? We do it all the time too. When we post a picture, we're like, we use 6N and 7NA plus, equal parts processing solution, whatever it might be. And people are like, what? You just spoke French, but the truth is, like, it's just too logical. The brain doesn't get excited about anything like that. But when you talk about the benefits, the brain gets excited, because who doesn't want to feel more confident and polished with sleek, low maintenance hair? Anybody who's ever needed a keratin treatment or a Brazilian blowout or something like that, they would love to feel those feelings. And so when you focus on those benefits, people get excited because they're like, yes, I want that in my life. And it connects to them emotionally.
I love that. It reminds me of, like, imagine if you just had a beautiful family photo taking for the holidays, and you have it put on this big canvas, and you're ready to hang it on the wall. Like, and then you go to Lowe's and you have to purchase a hammer. And the thing of it is, like, you're not just buying the hammer for fun. Like, you're buying the hammer for your ability to hang the family photo. And so, like, if you think about that from a salon world, like, we're not just selling haircuts. We're actually selling confidence and a fresh perspective for clients and our team every single day. I think about that logical and emotional side. There's a lot of people that say, oh, you should send your youngest people to the career fairs because they're really going to connect with them. Like, I feel like you should really send the people that are great in sales to the career fairs, because that's really going to help create that space of transformation. If you've been at a career fair and you've watched the other tables, like, the first thing somebody says when someone comes to the table, like a potential student, is like, hey, this is Salon ABC, and this is our Christmas list of everything we have to offer you. That's what it looks like sometimes. And like, they're hearing that same spiel from every single table. So, like, what if we change that? And what if we've got to more of that emotional side? Like, asking questions such as, like, when someone's at your table at a career fair, like, tell me what's most important to you. Could you imagine yourself walking into a salon environment every single day and loving it? Could you imagine walking out the door every single day and feeling more confident about yourself, creating an income that would take care of you and your family? And so, like, that is just another illustration of, like, when it comes to career fairs, how we can actually create that transformation, and it really draws in the right people by sending the people that can create to more of that emotional side with someone, not just that logical side of someone.
I love that, Jen. That's a brilliant way to look at things, and really focusing in on having your number one salespeople there, and helping get them connected. That's incredible. I think there's a lot of, mental barriers that we've, either put on ourselves over time, or maybe somebody else has accidentally put it on us over time. But there's a lot of
Mhm.
these mental barriers when it comes to selling. And I think one of them that stands out for me is seller's guilt. If you've ever felt seller's guilt before, you're not alone. But, hopefully this, on the other side of this, will offer you a lot of freedom, because seller's guilt is like when you feel guilty about charging what your services are worth, or maybe, you realize, hey, gosh, this customer is already at a $300 ticket or a $400 ticket. And then you're like, oh gosh, I could never recommend take home products for them, because, oh my gosh, their ticket is already so high. So you have this guilt, around something that you didn't even create, and you're attaching yourself to their pocketbook, or whatever it might be, and you actually don't even know what it is that they value most. And
Mhm.
so really understanding the definition of the word guilt is responsibility for a mistake or error, and so seller's guilt is such an interesting thing to look at, because you know, there's usually no mistake or error in what you're doing. You've usually created a really beautiful transformation. And the truth is, people come to you because they value the work that it is that you're creating. And they know that they're going to become that confident person on the other side. So selling isn't actually a take from the other person. It's truly just an exchange of value, and
Mhm.
so And a lot of people can get confused on value, I think, too, because you hear add more value all the time. I know that's like such a buzzword, is to just add more value. And so, I think a lot of people value different things. And so one of the things that could be the most helpful is to get crystal clear on what it is that your guest values most. So when you ask them, hey, what's the most important part of your visit today? Then you'll know what value to really deliver. Because, I think maybe when you're a new stylist in the industry, you might think, hey, they want something cheap. And that might be why you get some seller's guilt, is because that would be maybe what you valued. But the truth is, what they value is, they really want to learn how to curl their hair, or they really want to learn a new makeup routine, or they really want to learn how to care for their skin, or they value getting as blonde as possible. Whatever it is that they value, when you know what is important to them, then you can really deliver that value. And so it's not about delivering more value, it's about delivering that value in a great way. So, I think another area of resistance that people have is they think if they wanted what I have, they would buy it. And
Mhm.
that's so false, because people need guidance to see the value in what it is that you have to offer. So when you uncover more of what it is that they are looking for, selling is just about highlighting solutions to problems that they know that they already have. And so you're not trying to create problems for another person, you're just trying to identify them and then show them and guide them to what it is that you have to offer them to help, you know, solve that problem.
That is so good. Yeah. I love that you said that, Lindsay, because it has me thinking just what that, if they wanted what I have, they would buy it. I think it breaks down to two ways and ways we approach conversations. There's usually either convincing or persuading. And when you think about this, having a conversation in sales, when you're convincing someone, actually you're bringing over by argument. Let me say that again because this is key. When you're trying to convince someone, you're bringing them over by argument. The actual root word of convince means to um, oh my gosh, my mind just left me.
Conquer, to
Conquer,
conquer. Yeah.
conquer. Thank you. To conquer.
Yeah.
And so, like, when you think about that, like, if you're in a conversation, or if you see this with your team, they're in a conversation with a client, they're like, oh, you need product A, B, C, because it's going to help you with blow drying time, right? That's kind of convincing. Like, without it, your hair is not going to blow dry as fast, right? And so, like, they're almost feeling defeated. Like, they're just almost doing it by argument. Like, you have to have that. It almost comes from a place of like ego. And then the opposite of that, a beautiful way to look at it would be through the version of persuasion or persuading. And that means to bring over just by talking. And the root word persuade comes from the word to advise. And like I think that is really incredible if you really think about that as service providers on your team, like really we're just advising clients how to have their dream life because if we give them a complete look from head to toe, they're going to have more confidence at the end of the day. And for us to be able to do that, we're just going to be able to listen, collect data, like Lindsay was saying earlier, to really just to advise them how to create that complete look. And I think the other beautiful part of persuade, it comes from the root word also meaning to sweeten. So, this is really interesting. There's a book called Principles or Bible Principles. Oh gosh, what is the book? Lens, can you think about it?
Business, 5 business principles from the Bible, I believe is what it's called, or
Yes, business
10 or
business
something.
yeah, business
I'll
principles
tell
from the
you.
Bible. Yeah, okay, perfect. And like there's something in there they say it's like gracious words are honeycomb, sweet to the soul and healing to the bones. And I think that is just really incredible because if you think about that, it gives you as a salon owner so much freedom, but the opportunity for your team so much freedom too, because really our greatest gift is just to listen to the clients, to learn more about the clients, and then to return solutions. So we can listen, learn, and return. We are making improvements in their life and we're creating that space of transformation. So, an opportunity for you as a salon owner is just to take a step back, watch your team and look at how they're doing consultations. Are they doing it from a place of, convincing, or are they doing it place from a place of persuading? And Lindsay, you were telling me we got a book coming out called Think and Get Rich as a Beauty Pro, and you were telling me about that story about your dad as a car salesman, which is a beautiful example. Do you mind sharing that about the difference
Yeah,
between convince
I
and
would love to.
persuade?
Yeah, I think my dad was a car salesman for many years. He had a car dealership, and he just looked at sales in such a different lens than anybody else I'd ever seen before. And he was a very good at just having conversations and getting connected with people. And one time there was a young kid who walked in, who was looking to get a Chevy Camaro. He had a Chevy dealership, and the first salesperson that he walked by just automatically assumed, like, here's just some young kid who is looking at a Camaro, probably just to impress his friends, or impress the ladies, whatever it is, and just assumed that the kid probably didn't even have enough money for this. So he felt like it was a waste of time, didn't really even spend much time with him, and just assumed, made all of these assumptions. And so my dad was like, hey, this is great, a red Camaro, that's a great car, like, what has you interested in this vehicle? And the kid said, well, actually, my dad passed away about a year ago, and or dad or grandpa, now I can't remember which, but and one of our dreams was to always own a Camaro. And so I just haven't actually wanted to come in until today. And so today was the day that I realized, like, hey, I want to come in and check this out, and purchase a red Camaro. And so he ended up getting that car. But what was really cool is that day he sold more than that car. It was like a family legacy. And I think that's what's so powerful. Sure, we can look at that we are selling hair care products or skincare products or services, but the truth is, like, the transformation that we are able to create for people, that's really where our power lies. And when we can help people walk through the world more confidently, everybody wins. We win because we get financially compensated for that, but they win because they get compensated through confidence, so they can go out and make more money in the world. They can go out and be a better version of themselves. And so I think it's just incredible, when you don't place judgment on things, and when you really get to know the other person, how much transformation you can truly create.
Thank you for sharing that story. It's such a great story. It gives me
Yeah.
chills when I hear that, because it's a great example of like what we were talking about. Persuade means sweetness. It's like swelling with sweetness and not defeat. Because like when you work so hard to force a sale, like the first person you were talking about that was trying to sell the Camaro, like it feels just kind of icky from a seller's standpoint. And so when you're really able to connect and guide someone to what they really desire, I think that's where you're actually able to create a even more beautiful opportunity for them. Like, think about it in our salons. We see this a lot. Like, you're not just pushing a product, you're aligning with their existing desires. That's why we like to say there's a difference between buyers and believers. So if you have a lot of clients that just have a lot of products sitting underneath their cabinets, they're just buyers. But when we have
Mhm.
a believer, like, we are actually helping them see how this product is transforming their life. And so like this is done through, using a lot of role playing with your team, giving them examples like Lindsay was giving them, because like when you're able to make that connection, it creates that trust with that client as well.
Yeah, I love that. I love the difference between a buyer and a believer, and I think too, as the person who's selling, you have to take yourself out of the equation and trust that people are smart. You need to respect your client's intelligence, because it's just like, even if somebody, were to tell you, hey, I'm using Pantene or Suave or something that don't think is the best thing for their hair, still respect their intelligence, because they don't know what they don't know. And now it's your opportunity to, present them with a clear solution, and help them, prioritize what it is that's most important to them, because if they're looking for color longevity, or if they're looking for anti-frizz, or whatever solution it is that they're looking for, when you can show them what you offer is really going to help aid them in their goals, Well, now they know something even better than they did before because they thought they made the best decision possible for what they knew at the time, you know? So it's just an opportunity to help show them a new way. And, you know, we really have the power to heal others through persuasion. So, you know, it's a really different mindset to look at it from a you need to buy this versus imagine feeling relaxed, rejuvenated, and beautiful after this treatment, you know, because our words matter. And so we need to use language that speaks to their doubts and reassures them. Because when we start to do this, that's when we start to persuade for good. And that's when we can really make a big mindset shift and really start to apply this in real life.
All right. So if you're thinking, okay, this sounds great, Jen and Lindsay, but where do I start with this? And so this is just a little application that you can try. I would say do it with yourself as a salon owner. It's also a beautiful thing to do at a salon celebration with your team as well, to get them, thinking of the difference between logical and emotional. So like just think of one service or product that you offer at your salon. And then I want you to think about writing down the features, the logical benefits. And then I want you to think about the emotional transformation. So, an example of this, if you think of a service you offer, is balayage. The feature is, hand painted highlights. The logical side of that is, natural looking hair color with easy maintenance. But the emotional transformation is you get to feel trendy, you get to feel confident, and you get to walk out that door with your head held just a little bit higher because you feel better about yourself.
Who doesn't want to have their head feel like it's higher because they feel more confident about themselves, you know? So I love that that this is easily applied and you can really look at how you can reframe that whole sales conversation, you know? So it was an incredible time spent together today, you know, where we really dove into how do you transform instead of just educate. You know, gone are the days of just selling a hammer. We know that we are helping people hang their memories on their wall forever. You know, and how that translates into the salon is we're no longer just going to be selling all of those you know, logical, factual things. We're really going to help people get tied to that emotional, transformational portion of the service, you know, where they, you know, I think I had a client one time actually who, was looking at getting extensions, and you know her husband actually was complaining about the price and joking around about it one time, and I said, I'm just curious, you know, can you tell me a little bit about what life was like for your wife before extensions and what it's been like afterwards? And he said, yes. You know, there was a physical difference in the way that she shows up in the world. He's like, you can literally see it on her pictures. If you go to her Facebook right now, you can see she used to stand really hunched over and have low self-esteem, it looked like. He was like, and now she stands tall in pictures and just feels amazing. He was like, that is literally the best money that we've ever spent. And, you know, I was kind of asking him some more questions like, what has it done for you? He's like, it's amazing. He was like, I love it. You know, there's nothing better than having a confident wife. And so I think when we can focus on that transformation and really, you know, dial into that as salon owners and service providers, that can really make all the difference. And so, you know, how that would translate inside of the salon is the next time you go out and, or as a salon owner, the next time you go out recruiting, don't just talk about what your salon offers, talk about the transformation that the people on your team have seen so that other people can say, wow, I want to see myself experience that same transformation. You're getting into that emotional side of the brain so that they can really transform into that best version of themselves as well.
All right. Selling isn't about convincing them to buy, it's about helping them see how you're the solution they've been working for. All right. Have a beautiful day. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you soon.